Hello, all you scaredy cats and kittens, and welcome to the Two Scaredy Cats podcast, where we talk about the strange, unusual, and the paranormal. We're your hostess with the mostess. I'm Stacy.
And I'm Kara.
So, Kara, did you do anything this weekend that was fun and exciting?
I was in Washington, D.C. area for a convention this weekend.
Oh, yeah? What convention did you go to?
It was Katsucon.
And what was that one about? It was like anime, or was it something else, or what was the theme of that?
It's pretty like a general kind of anime convention. A lot of people bring stuff from all over.
Oh, okay.
Content wise.
Gotcha.
I was doing photo shoots. It's like probably my most popular, or like the most popular convention, at least booking wise. Always book up really quick. It's definitely a photography convention. People go specifically to get photos taken.
Really? Is it there that much like stuff there that they can get good
the
photos
venue?
of,
It's
or?
a Gaylord hotel.
Oh, okay.
You've seen what the Gaylord looks like in Nashville.
Oh yeah, I love that place.
It's beautiful.
Oh yeah,
it's beautiful marble flooring and the
yes, and they have all this really
area,
cool,
and
beautiful, and the forest or the landscaping in there is amazing.
And the outside area is really pretty too. There's
really?
A garden outside.
Huh.
There's just and there's literally on a beach, so you can literally go down.
Wait a minute, what?
It looks like a beach. There's a beach there.
Oh, that's crazy.
Everyone likes to take beach photos, so I did a bunch of beach photo shoots.
So is it on the Potomac River? Is that what you're saying?
It's on the Chesapeake Bay.
Oh, okay. Huh.
It's technically not in Washington, D.C., but it's right next to it. It's
oh, okay.
Alexandria.
No, I see what you're saying.
Maryland. I don't remember. It's like in a tri-state area, kind of like Cincinnati.
Okay. Got ya. Huh.
And there's a river.
Well, duh. There's several rivers that run through Washington. Yeah. Cool.
I gotta photograph some cool horror content.
Oh, yeah? What did you photograph?
I photographed.
Oh, I can't wait to hear this.
Oh, well, well, first of all, I photographed, I don't know if you've played the new Resident Evil game.
I have not, no, but I'm sure some of our listeners have.
Seen it.
Yeah.
I know, but the new Resident Evil Village, the lady with the doll, I can't remember her name, but the doll's name is Angie, and basically she's a lady who looks complete black, and then she just has this creepy doll that floats around and attacks you.
So wait, is this the one that they just made a movie about, or is this just clearly
it's the
just
game that
for the
came
game
out,
only?
Resident Evil 8.
Oh.
The one that Mario cosplays from.
Oh, okay.
The hammer, the guy with the hammer.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
They're all in the same. It's all from the same game.
Huh.
But it was very spooky.
It sounds creepy.
Because we would do these, because she looks like she's wearing a morning dress.
Right, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Where and she has the black veil, so you cannot see her face at all, and there's just the white draw and a wedding dress.
Oh, weird.
It's very creepy, but kind of the juxtaposition's really cool, so we had some fun. And then I photographed the May Queen from Midsummer, which is a very controversial movie in this house, apparently. It is my favorite horror movie. And,
really? I didn't like it.
Stacy, mother, does not like it.
It was, it wasn't.
Did you not like the visuals? Because the visuals
no,
were so cool.
No, I hated it. It was so jerky.
I will say, as a person who may or may not have taken some substances that were referenced in the movie, may or may not have, legally speaking, I did not. But I've heard that the visual representation of what tripping is is very accurate.
Well,
very, very accurate. Startlingly accurate. I've never seen a movie that was able to replicate. It
was very jerky, and it was very annoying. That's what I did not like about it.
Annoying.
Yes.
It was such an emotional movie with such intense emotions.
It was weird. Yes, I guess it was. I don't know. Some of it was just, I just wasn't feeling it. Sorry. I feel like they were trying too hard to make some kind of different type of horror movie.
Did you ever watch Hereditary?
I did. I didn't like. Yes. That one was...
You didn't like that one either? Okay,
not really.
It must just be you have bad taste.
Oh, stop
it's
it.
It's by the same director.
I know.
They're by the same director.
I know, and it's the same style.
And I loved both of them. I can't believe you didn't like Hereditary. It seemed like a movie you would like.
It was alright.
We really have similar tastes.
Yes, well, Hereditary was a little... Was that the one where she was crawling on the wall at some point, or crawling on the ceiling?
Yeah, it was about the grandma that died.
Yes. And the weird dollhouse, and she's crawling around on the ceiling, and okay.
And the mom made you didn't think it was, but did you were you
It was scary. Oh, that one was scarier than Midsummer. Midsummer wasn't as scary.
Midsummer was more of an emotional...
Or a psychological kind of thing. Yes, definitely psychological. Yes, I agree.
The other one was definitely more shocking. I liked both of them. But I just love that director.
Oh, you know what? I totally forgot about this. There was a new show that I just watched this week that was really, really good, but it's on a channel that we normally have, but we got a free preview. It was on Epix. It's called From. And it's about these people in this town that they get stuck there and they can't leave. And if you try and leave, you try to go in a straight line to get out of the town, you just keep going in a circle and keep coming back over and over and over. But at night,
I think was that on Amazon?
Was it on Amazon? I don't know. It was on Epix.
Is it a movie about they were moving into a neighborhood? Is it the same thing, or maybe
this is a series. Okay, that just came out recently. Yeah, and these people have been stuck here in this town for I don't know, some of them for 10 years, some of them for 3 years. And their car just randomly breaks down in this part of town and they're just stuck there. But there's these creatures that come from the forest they're basically like vampires and they try and lure them out, but they have to have these certain ruins that they have to put on the walls of their houses and homes that they have. Otherwise they will attack and they can get in and kill them. It was really cool. I liked it. I thought it was great. Yep, I know. It made me not want to go visit a small town in the middle of nowhere, but anyway. But back to your movie Midsummer.
But the May Queen, how at the end of the movie where she's
yes, where she was all dressed up in the crown and they go and
and she is just covered in flowers. Mm-hmm. The person made a dress that was
really like that.
Completely, it looked really cool.
Now I know why I didn't. The other reason why I didn't like that movie because it was a stupid ending. That's what it was. I knew there was something.
I loved the ending.
Yeah, I thought
it was such a satisfying end. I think it's just because it's a metaphor for a relationship ending.
Yeah,
is the entire movie because it begins. She's in an abusive relationship with the guy who doesn't give a shit about her, and then at the end, it's a release. She's gone. I'm not going to say
that's why I'm trying not to say too much, but I didn't like it. So people, go check the movie out and let us know what you think about it and see whether you side with me or Kara.
It also really well depicts grief. I think it really well depicts the grief. The beginning part was traumatizing for me.
Yeah.
The beginning was very shocking. I feel like it
there were times where I fell asleep in the middle of that, and I normally don't fall asleep in the middle of horror movies because I'm too scared.
Maybe that's why you didn't like it because you didn't watch the whole fucking
It was so boring. I snoozed halfway through it.
I had bought.
Oh my god! Wait a minute. There's an uncut version. Oh my god! God help us all.
As an extra hour.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay, you're insane.
Apple, so I downloaded Apple TV just so I could buy this movie. Okay. The girl I shot actually had issues finding a photographer who would shoot.
Why? What was wrong with it?
Just because it's they didn't know the content. And I was well, I am obsessed with this movie. So
Kara's I will take care of you, babe. Just come to me.
I will take care of it.
All right. It sounds like you had a fun weekend.
It was such a fun shoot. I don't know. She was super chill.
It sounded like it.
It was eventful.
I know.
I will say that.
All the craziness. All right. So I think it's your turn to go first this week. So what do you have for us?
We're going to be talking about an interesting topic. We're going to be talking about the Wendigo.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
it's a good one. Why is it controversial?
I guess it's not controversial. You're not.
It's Native American. Is that why?
Yes, it's Native American.
Oh, okay.
So you kind of have to be careful about it.
Yes, cultural appropriation. You got to be. Yeah, you got to be careful of all that.
As long as we're just discussing
right.
The actual legend.
Right.
And what goes on.
Gotcha.
So it is a Native American folklore legend, like you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
It is often said to be a malevolent spirit depicted as a creature with human-like characteristics that possesses a human being. It invokes intense feelings of insatiable greed, hunger, and the desire to cannibalize other humans. So, like, eat.
Oh, yeah.
Eat them. So the original legend originated from...
Indigenous?
Yes, I could not think of that word.
Indigenous.
Indigenous people who belong to the Algonquian language family, specifically the Great Lakes region, which is like near us.
Yeah,
the Great
yeah.
Lakes.
Right up
East
in Michigan
Coast
there.
Forest, and like it's kind of like also up in Canada too. Though.
Oh, okay.
The giant humanoid cannibal can move incredibly fast, apparently.
Really?
So they're very tall.
Huh.
They move
I didn't
very
think they could move fast. I thought they would move slow because they're
quick.
so big. Kind of like lumbering,
quick.
but no, really, they're quick. Huh.
They got razor sharp teeth and claws, like my little friend, wherever he went. I don't know where. They have lips that are often they are gone completely from chewing. Because they chew their lips. They have an unending hunger, like we talked about earlier, for human flesh, and they remain unsatisfied, like, no matter how many times they eat.
Huh.
You know?
Yeah.
And it shrieks and runs across treetops and is often near sudden snow / storms that will happen. And then there's a foul odor or that you can smell nearby.
Sound kind of interesting.
When the Wendigos actually begin as humans, and once transformed, they are no longer have a gender specifically. How does one become a Wendigo?
Yeah, how do they become a Wendigo?
Well, here we go. Well, the most common answer is by eating human flesh.
Okay.
So by eating someone, you turn.
You could also turn dead, but that's just.
There are other ways. So dreaming about the Wendigo can turn you into a Wendigo. So don't dream about one, and you can become a Wendigo without transforming. So like, it's a state of being.
Okay.
So having lots of inner turmoil can also put you at greater risk of it. So like if you have very conflicting, something's going on, it's very conflicted, it can also help you turn into one. There are many different variations of the Wendigo because it's a spoken tradition. Like Native Americans would they would speak their, you know what I'm talking about?
Their folklore was never written down. They would
pass down their, yes, it wasn't written down. It was spoken. So there's a lot of different spellings of the name. Like there's like a bunch of different ways that you can spell it. And because there's so many different regions, they would pass along the info. A Wendigo is often associated with winter and famine.
I did not know that.
So, like, they're most likely... So, normally it's winter thing. One famous Wendigo case is of a trapper from Alberta named Swift Runner. During the winter of 1878, him and his family were starving. His eldest son died. They were 25 miles away from emergency food supplies, and Swift Runner butchered and ate his wife and 5 remaining children. He was executed because of that. Variations of the Wendigo shows up today within popular culture. There's like a Wendigo movie. I have to check that out. I've heard it's not accurate. So the Wendigo actually shows up in Marvel comics too.
Wolverine or something else?
They're also seen in the game. The one that as Wendigo.
Oh, as themselves.
There's a creature there's a superhero that's like based off of the Wendigo. Or it might be a villain. I just know that it's in the Marvel comics. It's referenced. Most popular I feel like would be the Until Dawn. At least for me. That's where like my introduction to the Wendigo. It's like a video game that came out, I would say, like a few years ago. Mario played it. It was like the ending. There was the big bad in the horror game was like a Wendigo. Stephen King's Pet Cemetery.
Yes, was based off of that, where you would go and bury your dead, and
yes, it was based off of that. And then the show Hannibal. Did you ever? I
watched Hannibal many. It's one of my favorite movies.
But there were
Wait a minute. So they're trying to say that Hannibal is actually a version of the Wendigo? Oh.
Yeah. Because of all the imagery with the horns.
What horns? That was from the sheep.
No, I don't know, but like I know, at least, I can't remember because it was a while ago. But I know that there's association between. Well, Hannibal,
I know he ate people. Yeah, he was a cannibalist. Yes,
he eats people. That's like the whole thing about it. So there are lots of connections. The Wendigo with the legends of the werewolf.
I can see that. Yeah, they're both similar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because the transformation,
and then they both like to eat people, flesh, whatever.
Yeah. And then there are lots of depictions of the Wendigo with antlers or related to other creatures, but the only animal technically associated from the original legends is the owl.
Really? So it's another bird-like creature?
The movie, sort of. I don't really want to say it was bird-like.
So it's kind of like that ass wing thing that we did, where it was kind of like a bird.
I wonder if it had a similar legend. Like, I wonder if it came from a similar legend. You know how, like, sometimes legends will, like, spike, or, like, because especially if it was from that area, I was gonna say, it seems like most of, like, the whole reason that the Wendigo is a thing it's kind of like a legend to keep people from eating other people in desperate times.
Sure. Like I sit here and think in desperate times, oh, gee, Sam's leg bone looks really good today. I'm going to go chew on it.
So the Wendigo is actually known to mimic human voices.
Creepy.
I don't know if you've seen that like TikTok thing. I swear, I keep seeing these TikTok trends where you'll hear like people screaming in like the woods, and they'll be like, I think there's a Wendigo out there. Which is like an actual thing that they do mimic human voices, and they'll mimic people calling for help to lure in victims. That makes
sense.
So you have to, like, if you're ever like, you know, in the woods and you hear people screaming, I would not.
No, I wouldn't either. I'd run the other way.
I would run away and call help for them. I'm not
risk life and limb.
Risk my life.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you.
I don't trust the forest.
We hear too many horror stories.
There's too much that goes on.
I agree.
Yeah, but that was our story of the Wendigo.
All right. Well, that's a perfect segue into what I'm talking about today, because I'm talking about the suicide forest in Japan.
Forest also.
All right, so
here we go.
The suicide forest, as we as Americans call it, or known as the Aokigahara in Japan, is called, and it's also referred to as the Sea of Trees.
Yeah.
Is a forest that is in the northwest side of Honshu Island, which is in the shadows of Fiji. Sorry, not. Anyway, they also call it the Sea of Trees because apparently, on this part of this land that's there, this forest, it's so thick with trees that it's hard to hear or see anything because there's just so many trees there. Anyway, they say that this forest was formed over 1,000 years ago, and the ground is very uneven and it's covered in moss. The western edge of the Aokigahara has several caves, and one of them and they're very popular tourist attractions, and one of them is this really cool one that when it fills up with water, it turns to ice in the winter. And the other one is this like wind tunnel that when you go in there, the wind will like howl through there and stuff, and from how like high velocity the wind is through there, it actually turns the water in there icy, kind of cold and icy. Mm-hmm. But like I said, that's a very popular part of the island that's a big tourist attraction. Mm. So anyway, the forest has this reputation of being home to Yerei, which we've talked about before. In fact, we talked about that a couple weeks ago, about the ghost of the dead. And this has been going on since the 1960s.
Oh, yeah.
That it's been associated as with suicide. Because eventually, and that's how it got its name of the suicide forest, was from all the suicides that were happening there. There is a sign at the head of some of the trails along this area where people go hiking, telling anybody that any suicidal visitors to rethink their plans about whatever they're going to do. And they have like a suicide hotline they can call. They actually have people that roam around there, like kind of like police and stuff, go along the land there to check to make sure, to kind of sway people from, if that's their intent, is to go there and kill themselves, to sway them away from doing that. Like I said, there are these signs that you can find at them, and they also tell you that, you live not for yourself, but for your family, so think about what you do before you do it, kind of thing.
I've heard about that.
It's kind of creepy and weird that they have to put these signs, because so many people go there to kill themselves. So in 2003, 105 bodies were found in the forest. What happens is, like, each year they have this group of volunteers and forest people that, like, work in the forest industry or whatever, that will go through and they clean up the forest and try and find the bodies. But they said that sometimes it's so hard to find some of these bodies, and they find bodies that have been there like forever. A lot of people, the way they kill themselves in the forest is to hang themselves. So they'll find a lot of like skeletons hanging around in that, or they'll just find, a body of a person hanging. They also said the other most popular way for people to kill themselves in this particular forest is by drug overdose. So they find a lot of drug paraphernalia in the forest also. So in 2010, the police said that more than 200 people tried to kill themselves, with only 54 people actually succeeding. They think that the tradition of, it's aboutthe, which is basically, they call it like old woman. And what it is it's when the family will take an older relative who may be up there in age and just a burden for the family to take care of, or if they're very, very ill and about ready to die, that a lot of times they would take, now this doesn't happen as much anymore, but this was very prevalent, in the 19th century, they would take their family members there and just leave them in the woods, because eventually they'll become dehydrated, they won't be able to eat or fend for themselves, and they'll just end up dying. And that's what happened, and they think that's why why so many people go there to commit suicide and stuff, that it's like, it's part of the land because it's been done that way for so long. Anyway, like I was saying, the aboutthe or the aboutthe, whichever you want to call it, is the mythical practice of suicide, like I said, where a sick or elderly relative is carried into the mountain region or some other remote place and left to die. So historically, the Aokigahara Forest was known as the place where the monks would go to starve themselves to death. But according to Japanese folklore, the ghosts of those who have committed suicide wander in limbo in the forest, and those who enter are at risk of never coming out. Most of the suicides that take place there happen in March, because this is when the end of... Yep, because that is when the end of the fiscal year is for Japan. And that's when a lot of people feel pressure, like, oh my God, I owe all this money. What am I going to do?
Damn.
Or if they feel like they're not in a good place financially, then they'll go in there and they call it taking care of their own business. And they'll go in there and they'll kill themselves.
Jesus. It's kind of rough.
Yeah, it is. And apparently this has been going on for a very long time. It all started with the samurai warriors back in the day. They would actually, remember their whole motto was, that it was okay to die by suicide, right? To kill your enemy by suicide or whatever. So Japan has a much different outlook on suicide than like we do, if that makes any sense. It's almost like it's kind of I don't want to say glorified, but like it's considered okay to do that and to take care of it yourself instead of leaving the burden on your relatives, if that
It's
makes
kind of messed up.
It is. It's a very messed up way of handling that kind of situation. Although over the years, I will say this, and it's been documented in a lot of cases that have happened, that the Japanese government has done a lot more to handle it more as a mental health thing than as it's definitely been addressed by the government and in a much better way than what has been done in, before. So that's good. At least they're trying to get people help. And they have, like I said, they have a suicide hotline number on some of the entrances to different trails in the forest there. So here's like the kind of weird thing about this forest. The forest is made up mainly of like evergreen types of trees. There's also this feeling of stillness that you get whenever you're inside this forest because of the way it's made up. It's different than most forests in the fact that, like I said, it is so tightly packed by all these trees that winds can't even blow through there. So it's so silent in there that it's like, I mean, I would think it's creepy, yes.
Yeah.
But to some people, they feel like it's this very, place of solitude, calming. And it would be a good place for them to take their life. And like I don't, because like, you can't hear the winds and all that. It's also, there's not a lot of wildlife that you can find around there either. Like there are not a lot of birds in there. Like how when you go into the forest around here, you can hear birds chirping away. You hear squirrels roaming around, picking up nuts and stuff like that. Well, it's not like that there. Part of the other problem with the forest is where it's located at. Because it's right next to Mount Fuji, which is actually a dormant volcano, but it did have volcanic action at one time. So basically almost the whole floor of the forest is covered in magnetic iron. So if you are in there and you're lost and you try to use your cell phone to call people, you can't because it messes with the way the cell phone works. And a lot of people, because of that, because, if they go into the forest and anything happens and they get turned around or whatever, because there's no light or whatsoever, it's really hard to tell which way you're going in there and stuff. And it's very
disorienting.
Like all the trees are the same. Yeah. Yes.
I've seen videos and of it. It looks very creepy.
It does. Yes. It's so rocky through there and stuff, and there's so many caves that you can get lost in. Like, there's over 200 caves that are in that general area of the forest, and it's only 15 miles wide, which is crazy to think that there's so many caves in that tiny area like that. That the forest floor is just, like I said, it's so, it's got moss on it, so it's slippery, so you can slip and fall. There's so many cracks and crevices you can get your foot stuck in and stuff, that it's really, kind of hard to, walk around in there. But anyway, what people do, since the cell phone is kind of rendered useless basically at this point, is they will take tape, like brightly colored tape, and they will mark a path where they go in and they go out. So you'll walk around in there and you'll see all these taped, tape just everywhere in there from people marking where they were. It's kind of crazy.
That is kind of.
But that's one of the ways of how they handle it. Also, to note that because of the magnetic volcano soil that sits there, you cannot use a compass. Because think about it. A compass relies on, the pull of the North and South Pole to tell you where you're going. So a compass would be completely useless to you also if you were to get trapped in the forest or whatever.
You can't even get out with a freaking compass.
It is.
What are you supposed to do?
Right. Yeah. Yes. I have no idea. I guess take the string or the rope or the tape and make sure you follow it in and out. All I know from what I've read, I wouldn't want to be in there at night because it's kind of very unnerving at night. People say you can hear all kinds of noises and stuff in there, and they believe very strongly in the was it Yerei? Yes, the Yerei. And they believe that when people die in that type of situation where there was a lot of trauma and they were very sad and angry and frustrated and all that, that there's the souls that are left there are not good souls, and they're not, there to help you. They're there to maybe make you have the same thing that happened to them, die or take your own life. So people have to be really careful when they go there. Like I said, one of the other things I was reading about is they actually, like if they see somebody hiking into the forest with a tent, they'll actually have like these special people that will go to visit with them while they're staying there to make sure, because a lot of times they say that's a sign that that person's planning on taking their own life. So they will like go there and check on them to make sure that they're all right and they're not, contemplating, and they'll try and talk them out of it if they are planning on doing it.
They'll have people that like patrol, and I think it's really hard to actually get in there because
I mean they have cameras and everything there too, which I thought was insane because they're trying to keep the amount of people that go there to kill themselves down from what it used to be and all that.
Yeah, how can they pay their taxes if they do that?
Right? How can they get their money from them? Right? Nothing like squeezing more money out of them. But yeah, so that is kind of the backstory on the Suicide Forest or the Aokigahara and what happens there on that land and why, some of the backstory about why they believe it is the way it is. Mm-hmm. So that's all I have for us today. It's kind of interesting how our stories kind of tied together a little bit.
Especially my story about the yokai.
I know.
Like last weekend, I can't remember.
Yeah, it was like last week when you
whatever
did
the last episode was our yokai episode, which kind of ties in.
Or 2 weeks ago. Yeah, who knew? I'm like, wait a minute, we just talked about that.
Told you the Yerei is spooky. They're like the scary ones.
Yeah, they said that you don't mess with them. Like they're the ones you don't want to have.
From what I read too, it was like, do not mess with Yerei. You do not want to piss them off or gain their like don't attract them.
Right, because they're going to trap you there or try to do harm to you or make you do harm to yourself.
Well, if you enjoyed our podcast today, follow us on Instagram at 2scaredycatspodcast, and please be sure to leave a review on Apple Podcasts. It really helps the show get discovered. And tune in 2 weeks for a new episode, and to all our scaredy cats and kittens out there, remember, curiosity didn't kill these 2 scaredy cats.